To Hector Maldonado today. And Hector Maldonado, you may not know, but he is running in the Republican primary for the U.S. Senate seat from the state of Missouri. And he is running against 10 other Republicans, and the race has become a little crazy. Hector was born in Mexico, and he had a little problem with his birth certificate, it turns out, during this campaign. His opponent on the Democratic side, now get this, the Secretary of State of Missouri is Robin Carnahan. She is also a Democratic candidate for the same Senate seat that Hector's running for. So Robin Carnahan called Hector in and said, "Hey, dude, you got to prove you're an American citizen." Kind of ironic, huh? Anyway, he asked her something about Obama's birth certificate. She couldn't answer the question. A lot of crazy stuff. Anyway, I got Hector on the phone. Let me get him on the line now. Here we go. Hector, you there?
Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, sir?
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. So first of all, I want to get into how your campaign's going. But first, before we do that, you sent an email out to us a week or two ago about being asked for your birth certificate. And before you tell that story, tell us who Robin Carnahan is.
Well, Robin Carnahan is currently the Secretary of State for Missouri. She, overall, the Secretary of State's office is responsible for the elections process for the state of Missouri and also for federal office. So I just, with all the controversy with the president and people saying that he doesn't have a birth certificate and he hasn't proven that he's a citizen, I just find it as too ironic, I would actually say hypocritical, that I, running as a Republican, had to prove, and it was by registered mail, that I had to prove that I was a U.S. citizen. Otherwise, they were going to take me off the ballot. It was almost like a threat. So I proudly went to the Secretary of State's office and proved it.
So you got a letter from them saying if you couldn't prove your birth or that you were a citizen, that you wouldn't be able to run.
They would kick me off the ballot is what it said, actually. They'd remove me, and they gave me a deadline of May 12th. They said if I didn't provide proof by May 12th, I would be removed from the ballot.
Okay.
So
did anyone ask you for a birth certificate?
They asked me for proof of citizenship. And I actually contacted some of the other candidates running for the same office, and I asked them if they had to show proof of citizenship or if they got a letter saying that they had to prove that they were a citizen. And they said, no, I was the only one.
Really?
And I just find it ironic, or I wonder how it is that I was flagged. And I asked them, how was I flagged?
Uh-huh.
If the Democrats, and Robin Carnahan is actually a Democrat. She's running for the Democrat primary. I'm running on the Republican
Right.
ballot.
That's the other thing I wanted to get into. She's actually running for Senate too, isn't she?
She is, for the same office.
Wow.
And I just don't know if I were running as a Democrat, would I have to prove the same thing, or is there a more stringent process for the Republican candidates? I don't think that they want somebody of my background, where I come from. I was born in Mexico. I was actually naturalized the right way through a visa. My dad was a migrant field worker, and he sponsored me and my family, so
Wow.
I was naturalized. And I'm just thinking they don't want somebody with my background on the Republican or the conservative side, because then they will have no excuse or be able to say that the grand old party is just a bunch of white Anglo-Saxon bigots.
That's right.
I can actually expand the Republican conservative voter base, and that's something that I've been trying to get into the Republican Party to embrace me, because I can actually stand against people who believe that are entitled. And the reality is that a lot of Hispanics, I was born in Mexico, a lot of Mexicans are hardworking people. They don't want handouts. They just want the opportunity for the American dream, but it's the Democrats that are trying to exploit and embrace the minority groups to say, hey, we care about you. The Republican Party does not. And that's not the fact.
Right.
Most minorities, they embrace the democratic principles. And it's only through semantics that they believe that the Democratic Party is the party of those principles, and it's not.
Right.
It's
That's
the Republican Party that is the true party of civil liberties. And that's what I hope to revive, and that's what I want to do, and that's through education and outreach and working with different groups. That is part of my goal is to educate the voters.
How has the Republican Party of Missouri received all this? Have they encouraged you at all? What's going on with that?
No, well, the Republican Party, I am running on the Republican Party, but I am dissatisfied with the way they're handling the primary process. Is that there's 10 candidates running on the ballot for U.S. Senate. I'm not the only one. But there's one who is a career politician, Congressman Roy Blunt. He's a 7th-term congressman from Springfield, Missouri, and he is the one that the Missouri Central Committee has pretty much endorsed. And they assume that he's the only one that's running on the ballot. And everywhere I go and do Tea Party rallies or any of the Lincoln Day parties or the county Republican committee meetings, it's Roy Blunt stickers and posters are everywhere, but he's never around. He just assumes that he's the only one that's going to...
Wow. He's the incumbent, so he's going to win.
Well, that's what they think, but I've got a surprise for them, so we'll see about that.
Well,
and,
now,
everywhere that I go, I tell the folks when I address them, and there's always a representative there speaking on behalf of Roy Blunt, saying Roy Blunt has done a lot for us. He's done this and he's done that. He's fighting for us, but that's not true. He is part of the problem. Career politicians are a huge part of the problems, and America knows that. The voters know that, not just on the Democrat side, but on the Republican side too. They're not listening to the voters. They've sold us out, and they're selling out America. So I'm not going to stand idle by and let career politicians sell out my country.
Right. One thing I wanted to get back to on the proving your citizenship issue is that you did mention 10 candidates running. I have a list here of 11 candidates running on the Republican side in Missouri. And, in all honesty, Hector, we both know that Roy Blunt's the big guy. He has millions of dollars in the bank. And you are one of 10 others, basically, who aren't doing quite that well, I don't think, financially. And so basically you're like a fly on the wall. Like, why would they even care about it? Because as anyone looks at this race, with normalized from past years, if they go by past history, they would say, well, Hector Maldonado doesn't even have a chance. And here they are bugging you about proving that you're actually a citizen.